Welcome back. We just heard from former Texas Governor Rick Perry laying out his argument on border security. Following presidential hopeful Donald Trump's comments as well, addressed the topic in a pair of speeches yesterday. I want to tell you about this speech that Trump made because he is accusing Mexico of deliberately sending criminals to the United States, while also professing his respect for the country's leadership. We want to bring in our panel right now. Judith Miller is adjunct fellow at the Manhattan Institute for Policy Research. She's a Pulitzer Prize-winning author and journalist and a Fox News contributor. Julie Rajinski is a former political advisor to Senator Frank Lautenberg and a Fox News contributor. And Garry Kasparov back with us. He's the chairman of the New York-based Human Rights Foundation. He's a chess grandmaster and the former world chess champion. Good to see everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Trump made comments yesterday. He is not backing down at all from his comments on immigration. Compare what he's saying to what you just heard from Governor Perry. Judy.
Yes, one is presidential, Perry, and the other was just a rambling tirade that is vintage Trump unplugged, full of statements that weren't true, full of incendiary remarks, playing to our anxious, darker side as opposed to the Reagan Morning in America side of us. I continue to agree with Peggy Noonan, a conservative columnist who says that blowhards don't wear well, and I think that the current blip of popularity will diminish as his exposure increases, if that's possible.
But Garry, look at the crowds at this speech in Phoenix. He is bringing in people. I mean, you talk about, what he's saying, and at the same time, look at where he is in the polls. What's your take?
No, I think he has been doing great damage to the party. He's stealing headlines. It's quite easy now. I think everybody wants to hear some big news, and he has very strong statements. It's populist. It's not based on any calculation. He doesn't care, and this boldness wins support at the early stage. But it will. I mean, he will disappear. It's not a matter of him staying in the race for a long time. It's a matter how much damage his presence for these few months will cause GOP at the later stage.
Another thing that he said, Garry, the U.S. has driven Russia and China together. He told the crowd.
I mean, I agree with him on one point that Putin doesn't respect Obama. But I mean, Iranians and whoever, Chinese, I don't think anybody in the world now, any world leader respects Obama today. But the solution is not to become pals with Vladimir Putin, as Trump suggested. Probably his dream is to become another Putin's oligarch, so he can do it without running for U.S. presidency.
Unbelievable. Julie, how do you see it?
Well, I agree with the latter part about trying to become a... he has a lot in common with Putin. They both know how to, use graft to get their way at taxpayer expense, I might add. But look, he attracts a lot of crowds the same way the Real Housewives of New York would attract a lot of crowds when they're flipping tables. He's a reality show star. He's not really there because he's running for president. He's there because he's a brand. He's obviously decided this is going to help the Trump brand. He's going to take his valuation from X to X times 2.
Wow.
And
so
that's what
you think
doing.
that's what it's about, the Trump brand?
Oh, my goodness. He has no intention of staying in this presidential race. He's going to milk it for all it's worth to up the brand and to up his value.
But Julie, it hasn't. Look at what's happened to his relationships with Macy, with NBC, with Univision. This would strike me as a pretty bad business strategy.
He miscalculated, but it was absolutely a business decision. Much like the casinos in Atlantic City, it was a very bad business decision that he made, but nevertheless, he still made them.
Let's talk about Governor Perry for a second. Your observation on the interview. Right then.
I think excellent interview. I was very impressed by his campaign opening speech. I think he has a lot of ideas. He's talking about the future. He made some excellent points, not only about border control, but I liked what he said about Tesla and about car dealers in Texas. I think it's very important for GOP to stand for free market and to go against trade unions, car dealers, anybody who is trying to restrict trade. So overall impression, I think, extremely positive. He has the vision. And I hope that the debates between the candidates will be sort of held within these parameters.
Is he a front runner?
Oh, I think he is. I mean, I don't know whether or not he's going to make it into the top 10 this time. I assume he will, as the longest-serving ex-governor of a major state. But, the difference between the Perry before and the Perry in this round is just dramatic. And also his willingness to take on Donald Trump, call his remarks offensive and not reflective of the Republican brand. I think that's very brave.
No, you're nodding your head. You agree?
I am, and it's interesting because I think governors of Texas have a very unique perspective on immigration. You never hear that kind of jingoism from them. You never heard it from George Bush when he was governor of Texas, and even when he was president, you don't hear it from Perry. And I think it's because they've got the experience of dealing with the border, but also with a huge Latino community in their own state. And that's, you can't demagogue the issue when you've been living it for all these years as Governor Perry has.
I also think it's very important for GOP actually to turn the debate from negatives to positives. It's not only about illegal immigrants, it's about immigrants. I'm a legal immigrant, and I know how difficult it is to get a green card, even for the former world chess champion and political activist. And I have friends in the Silicon Valley who kept losing talent because these Chinese or other Asian students couldn't get work visa after graduation. So it's, yes, we have to think about those who are out of desperation trying to pick apples in this country, but we must pay attention to those who can create a new apple.